Thinking about how your head hurting from all the stress, wondering when it will all go away? Pause, think about it intentionally, and consider where we go from here. Stay tuned and listen to Master Scuba Diver Kevin James' perspective on how deep diving can clear the brain fog. You know, the things like what I get sometimes. So join our co-sponsors, Dom Dev Enterprises and PADI Investments, and our friends from Islandese Realty, D1 Development, and Sammy's Chicken. Post your questions. Tell us where you're at, what you want us to talk about. And we'll be right back after these messages. So share, and we'll be right back.
Something to think about with Dale Happy Knowles.
Welcome to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. And what we imagine, we surely can achieve. Let's change the narrative 242. So this evening we see on the screen this fine gentleman here, all debonair up, looking all pretty, etc., with his nice pictures in the background. We will be talking this evening about how deep diving can clear the brain fog. Welcome to Something to Think About, Kevin James.
Oh, thanks, Dale. Good to be here.
Great. Well, as we mentioned, we're going to have this nice spirited conversation. I shouldn't say spirited, but lively. Kevin is, of all things, without question, a very energetic man. And so, you know, as we go, we always learn that you can't sit still with Kevin around because he's always trying to accomplish something good. And I think what we're going to discuss tonight, you will find to be very productive and so forth, and that you would maybe even want to touch base with him afterwards and see how you can assist in his program. So, Kev, you would have been a military man for, I think, about 15 years or thereabouts.
Yeah, that's right.
And you would have gotten the Royal Navy sub Aqua diving supervisor, and then you would also have been a British sub Aqua club advanced instructor.
Yeah, that's right, Dale. I joined the Army at 18. I tried to become a professional soccer player, but I only have one eye that works properly, so that put a doubt on that. So I decided that to join the Army, I could still play football or soccer at a high standard, and I'd be able to, skin the cat, as it were, that way. So I joined the Army, joined the military police because they give you a stripe straight away. Don't need to be too intelligent to break up bar fights. So I was in there as well, and went along with the Army. I had to cheat to get in. I memorized the eye chart, so when they went to the left eye, I knew the letters, so I just called them out. They found me out eventually, but I didn't get kicked out. I just got told not to do it again.
Awesome. And so in that process of being in the Army, you would have done some scuba diving. Would that be correct?
That's right. What happens in the British military is, because it's a volunteer service, you can't expect people to join without having some fun. So they're encouraged and allowed to play basketball and dinghy sailing and windsurfing and skydiving and scuba diving and many, many other sports when they're not being trained to fight. So you have to have instructors and referees and coaches and people who can handle all those things. And that's what I ended up doing. I ended up enjoying scuba diving and then went up the ladder, as it were, of the scuba diving side of things, and eventually became a supervisor so that I can now take people safely and make sure that their fun is their fun and my fun is making sure they don't hurt themselves.
Right. And I mentioned earlier that you were a master scuba diver.
That's right.
And that would be the PADI. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah, PADI. It's the Professional
PADI.
Association of Diving Instructors. A lot of people say it stands for put another dollar in because it's a very military, a very financially based organization. But that's just a tease. They do good work, and there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of PADI people around the world, gaining qualifications.
Yeah, but in my reading up on it, it says that for somebody with a master's scuba diving certification as you would be in the top 2%. There's not that many people around. At that level.
You can't get your buddy to give you a certification. They test you over a week or a weekend, and if you manage to pass their exacting standards, they give you the qualification of scuba diving instructor. Then you can learn to teach various specialties like photography, deep diving, wreck diving, boat diving, cold water, this sort of thing. And then if you do enough of those extras that you add on to be able to teach these things, they class you as a master scuba diver trainer.
Right. All right. And so you are situated now in Long Island in the Bahamas, and we call that Strong Island, some of us.
There you go.
Yeah. And I always coin you as being the champion of champions because
that's very kind of you to say that. But the bottom line is, I always say, Dale, and I live by this: you can do whatever you want in this world, anything. You just have to be able to get the drive going and achieve what you want to do. For example, my close friend TJ, who used to run the golf club at the Ocean Club, his brother was a American football guy at Virginia Tech, but he was too slow for the NFL, not big enough for the NFL, and didn't quite make it. The aggression was there, the heart was there, but he just didn't have what it took. However, instead of getting all grumpy and fed up, he decided he was still going to stay in the game. So now he uses his expertise to run the weight training room for Virginia Tech. So he gets all these guys fit enough to go to the NFL. And it's the same in basketball. You don't have to be 6'9" Michael Jordan to be a good basketball type guy. You can coach, you can referee, you can be the sponge guy and the water guy if you want to be in the game. You can do whatever you want if you have the drive. Yeah,
so there's a lot of opportunities for our youth in order to probably get into this industry of diving and so forth.
Cool. And diving especially, if you get the dives and you start bugging people like me to take you diving, there's a couple of young men on Long Island that I take them diving any chance I get, and a couple of the young ladies who one of them is a lawyer in Nassau now. I used to take her diving anytime she asked. Don't charge, because I love to dive and I'll do anything to get underwater. So that's what these people need to do. They need to get hold of someone who they trust, who isn't going to hurt them, and take them diving, take them in the pool, take them in the shallows, and get them underwater, because it's a great string to your bow if you can scuba dive. There's so many good jobs out there for marine biologists and Blue Planet this and Save the Planet that. It's a massive industry for young people to think about. Right.
Well, I call you champion of champions because I always find you to be one who is always after excellence, and two, always on, I guess it's military, and you a timely basis to get things done. And you also have a heart for people. And so you have somehow found your way into finding out that diving can be a health tool. Right. And that made me go, kind of thing. And so when we look at the whole picture, people in the military have been jumping out of airplanes into fire into enemy fire and then diving into treacherous waters in the middle of the black deep and stuff like that. And those are serious things that is happening. And some people don't always come out of that experience as, what should I say, privileged as some of the other ones who come in as they went in, besides the fact that they grew as leaders. And so they might have developed this post-traumatic stress disorder in the process. And so that seems to be a common thing amongst veterans, and which we see on the TV with movies and the like. And I had a cousin, or I have a cousin who had a boyfriend at the time. And he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. And whenever she went to school, because we were at university together, the chap was a challenge. He was totally disoriented and everything. And the minute she walked in his presence, he calmed right down, and he was meek and mild. And like he would have been, I guess, like I don't want to say Green Beret or whatever. I might be insulting people, but he was one of those big Army, Navy guys who jump off the ships and everything. And so people were scared when he was not calm.
Right.
But when she was around, he was normal.
Yeah.
So
that's the sorry, Tail. Go ahead.
No, I was going to actually tell us a little bit about what this means, how that
what
disorder.
happens is when you witness a traumatic event, whether it be your father hitting your mother, whether it be a sexual assault, whether it be seeing your buddy get shot next to you in a trench, these are all traumatic events. When trauma enters your life, the body has a clever coping mechanism, and what it does is it gushes cortisol into the brain to dumb down the sensors. Otherwise, you'd have an immediate meltdown and run screaming from the room. But the fight or flight mechanism kicks in, so you help your buddy, you stick your fingers in the bullet hole, you try and stop your dad beating up your mum, you try and get some healing from an assault or whatever. So, but the problem is, once this cortisol has coated all the receptors in the brain, you get what I term, and what has been explained to me, as brain fog. And if you forgive the language here, everybody says it's just feeling like shit. So excuse the term, but that's the best way to describe it. You feel awful. It's like the worst hangover a person could imagine. And that's 24/7, 365, and you cannot get rid of it because it's in your brain, coating all these sensors, and you can't fight it. What it does, it makes you angry. And if you smoke a cigar, drink a whiskey, or see a nice view, all the time you're enjoying that pleasurable thing, you feel not too bad. But as soon as you stub the cigar out, wash the whiskey glass up, or go back inside from the nice view, back comes the survivor's guilt, back comes the feeling bad again, and it's just a hamster wheel thing. And the poor old hamster is running for its life in the wheel, not getting anywhere. And that's how the PTSD sufferer feels all the time. So you can't expect a person who feels awful not to get angry.
Yeah.
You can't say to them, suck it up, because that makes it worse, because they can't suck it up. They just feel awful every minute of every day. They can't sleep, they can't function, and you get people saying, suck it up.
Right. So I guess my cousin's friend, when she was away, that's when he went back into that mode that you just talked about. And when she was there, then it would have been like him drinking or whatever.
He doesn't have any support. He doesn't have her saying, what can I do for you, darling? What can I do to help? How can I, at least that's a calming influence. He gets to focus on his girlfriend. If he's in a room on his own, all he's got is Jeremy Kyle or, the TV programs or whatever to watch.
Right.
That's not going to be doing him any good. That feeds the hamster wheel.
Right. Okay. So we would say then that it's possible that people who went through Dorian, some persons there might have exposure to PTSD or brain fog.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hundreds and hundreds of PTSD sufferers, if they can't get pleasure out of looking at a hibiscus, or if they can't get pleasure out of, you know, the grandchild turns up at the house and you know they love it, and then when the grandchild leaves, they still love it. That's
Right.
PTSD.
Wow. Yeah, that's the simplest way I've ever heard it explained. Yeah.
If you look at a hibiscus and you don't feel great, you're not very well.
Wow.
If you've had trauma in your life, you might just be a grumpy person. I say to all these wives, I'll give you a PTSD-free guy back, but if he was grumpy before he had PTSD, he's going to be grumpy when he gets back.
Yeah.
I can't help with that. You know, if he's lazy, he's going to be lazy when you get him back.
That's true. That's true. Well, maybe you might help him though. Otherwise, and some of your other attributes, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. So the Almighty, who we all know, lives in the Bahamas and is a Bahamian, right? I always laugh at that, but anyway, he has blessed the Bahamas with 90,000 odd square miles of crystal clear waters.
Yep.
So the sun can shine deep, and so divers could get to see more than what they needed to see, and the like. And so, do we have anybody studying these things? Because I know a study that when I was in university that said that people who see the water on a day-to-day basis is healthier than people who don't see the water at all. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The problem with backup, medical, clinical backup is very often there's no money in it. And if you want something done, the big pharma people will help you if it helps them. But of course, if you're looking at the water and getting better, or I take you diving and get you better, big pharma aren't now going to be able to sell quite so many drugs. So it's not something that they're going to put millions of dollars behind. So you have to be very careful and try and find someone who's doing a PhD or a master's or whatever, and they make their bones on the subject that you mentioned, and maybe PTSD scuba diving, and write a paper or a piece. But unless there's money in it, it's very difficult to encourage someone to spend what is in effect a year of their life doing a study that isn't going to make them any money.
Right. And so
feed themselves and themselves.
Yeah. And so on that, the police has said at one point that particularly during COVID, that the suicide attempts was up. Would that generally be because of somebody who might have been on had the post-traumatic syndrome? Or
what happens is there was a sorry.
No, I was going to say so we could have this all over the Bahamas. Then it isn't just from a specific area.
There's PTSD in every walk of life. If you feel awful every day and you've had trauma in your life, it's going to be PTSD. If you feel awful every day and you haven't really had any traumatic events in your life, it's probably standard depression or bipolar or whatever. So there's a psychiatrist visit in their future to get to the bottom of what their problem is. But if you've had trauma and you recognize that it was trauma, then it could well be and probably is PTSD orientated.
Right. So in terms of the water now, in terms of the treatments and the like, what is the connection?
Well, that's interesting, Dale. About 10, 11 years ago, I read a diving magazine article, and it said some guys had gone to the Cayman Islands, they'd done some diving, and they were looking to see if diving helped paralyzed people, and they came back and said, yes, it increased the paralyzed feelings in quadriplegics, paraplegics by up to 15%. And then they got back to Johns Hopkins and discovered that, hang on a minute, the PTSD guys, we only took them to 60 feet as an average, and their symptoms have been improved by 80 to 100%. And I saw that and thought, well, maybe I should try and see if I can offer my services and get to the bottom of this. And I did that, and I couldn't get anyone to take me up on the offer of free diving. I don't charge people for helping them with their PTSD. That would be wicked of me. But no, there were no takers, and I got really frustrated. And in the end, I posted a rant on a military Facebook veterans page on 14,000 subscribers. And one guy wrote to me and said, can I come and give it a go? I said, you're absolutely welcome. The worst
Mm-hmm.
that will happen is you'll go home with a tan. So he came out, and that was diver A. And
Mm-hmm.
he found that the diving we did, he says, no, I don't make any claims. I'm not some snake oil guru type guy making any claims whatsoever.
Right.
The only claim I make is if I take you diving, I'll keep you safe.
Right.
He said his PTSD symptoms are gone, and I'll take his word for it.
Right. And the diving that you do with them would be well, first of all, I guess they have to be scuba certified first, right? Or they don't have to.
No, not really. Dale, how many dives have you done, Dale?
Me? Beyond 30 feet?
Yeah.
Probably 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But that's only 30 feet.
I promise you, after 2 or 3 dives and us getting confident with each other, you and I could do a deep dive and you'd be quite safe. We do it on the line in Dean's Blue Hole, what the free divers use. So you can go up anytime. You're holding on to a line, to a rope. We could do some outrageous stuff if we wanted to, but it's all on you. It's all on what you want to do. If you want to go deep to try and kill these symptoms, I'll keep you safe. If you want to, sort of like the last guy, diver F, Tony wasn't that keen on doing the deep stuff. So we limited it to, I don't know, 100 feet, 120 feet, and he was quite happy. And he's gone home symptom-free, according to him. And by the way, he got a great job today in London, so he's happy as anything.
No, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, my 120 is 20, 25, 30 is in the race car or in the sports car. I haven't gone that kind of distance up in the
I understand
down in the ground.
But my point is, if you're with someone that you trust, and I can build a level of trust with you over a couple of dives and doing some stuff, as long as we have redundant equipment and extra regulators and extra tanks and lots and lots of air, we can do it safely. But we have to have the trust in each other that you're going to be okay.
That is very awesome and very so. So, folks, if you're there, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at, and post any questions and concerns, do be sure to do so, and we will endeavor to address them as they come up. Ray Jones here says, the start of the best years of my life. All thanks to Kev. Thanks, Kevin. Ray Jones is from Bahamas or a different Ray Jones?
No, he's from England. Ray and I, in 1981, transferred to the Army Physical Training Corps together. And we decided that, we didn't want to be given hassle during the course. So I said to Ray, listen, Ray, why don't we do this? We'll volunteer for every single thing they ask us to do. And then eventually they'll tell us to leave them alone and go hide somewhere and don't volunteer anymore. And that's what we did. And we had a much easier time because they said, look, stop volunteering. Let's let the other guys do some volunteering. And Ray is a wonderful human being. And I love Ray very much. He's a good guy. Awesome.
Thanks, Ray. One day we'll be able to meet when we go to London one day or to England. Right. Kevin will bring us around so we could probably meet you guys.
Ray will make you pay.
Huh?
Ray will make you pay. You'll be buying the drinks.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you always drink plenty, so I got to bring a whole. I need to go down for a deep dive so I can come back, and when I come up with a pot of gold. Then I could buy you all the drinks I want to buy you.
We got a gold coin beach on Long Island. I took a friend of mine to the beach a while back and said they found gold coins on this beach, and lo and behold, he found himself a gold coin. So good for him.
Wow, awesome. Paul Harding says a brilliant scuba instructor. He is at that. I get
Well, that's very kind. Paul's the seaplane guy in Nassau. You might know Paul.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was just going to be the same guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Small world. Yeah, you in Long Island, I in Nassau. Yeah, true. Yeah. So when we look at these things now, Gavin, we have some pictures that we want to show some of the folks so that you could walk us through those pictures and help persons understand what we're talking about, so we don't just be going left, right, and center. This is the name of your charity, correct? Or the charity you're involved in?
Yeah. I posted PTSD and thought, how can I link that to scuba diving? So I just put progress through scuba diving, and it seems to stick. And it's what we try and do. We try and get a sufferer to make progress through going scuba diving. So it seemed to fit well.
Right.
That's Trevor, my buddy who came over. He's diver B. we were a little worried we were going to get wet. So we said, quickly take the photograph. Let's not get too wet just before we went in.
Y'all come on, comedies.
That's right.
Scuba demo wet. Yeah. So the first one though, we skip past that one a little quick.
Yeah, that's Tony. That's diving. He's the guy who landed a great job in London today, thousands and thousands of dollars, and he's a very happy man. And it's because he got rid of his brain fog. He no longer feels like he's got a massive hangover and was able to kill the interview, and good for him.
Right. Awesome. Minor producer. Yeah. So that was Trev, and now this is
the blue hole.
The blue hole.
663 feet straight down, 202 meters.
Yeah, I call it your spa.
That's right. Well,
I mean,
the beautiful thing, Dale, for me, being I live about 9 or 10 miles away, is I can dial a depth. If I have a person who's really experienced and they want to do some deep stuff and measure their worth against themselves, we can go down the line really deep. If someone's a little bit nervy and doesn't want to do that, then we cut it a little shorter and don't go as deep. So that's the platform that William Trubridge, the free diver, puts in, and we use it, and that's why I can dial a depth, and it's a one-stop shop.
So that person lives in Long Island, or he just comes to Long Island every so often?
William Trubridge has a home here. He's in New Zealand at the moment. His wife's just given birth to a son a couple of days ago, and he'll come back in March, and they run the big free diving tournament and bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars to the island in the late spring.
And they just had a world Guinness Book record or something the other day.
World champion. They break a dozen world records every single time. Brilliant, very good. They go down to unbelievable depths on one breath.
Yeah, wow. Free diving. No.
Free diving.
All right, madam. And that's the picture I like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture. Great visibility there. That's what I try and do. The best visibility for anyone who ever goes there is on or just before low tide. So if you go there just before low tide, you'll be able to see right across the hole, get the GoPro going and get loads of video. All the fish are underneath the cliff that the young men jump off, and young women.
Right.
And that's where all the good stuff is. So that looks like good visibility on that day. Yeah.
So is the water different in the middle of the ocean on the blue hole versus on the outside in terms of temperature or whatever?
The visibility is somewhat better in the blue hole because there's a reef just to the right of that picture that stops the bad, dirty water piling in. So the sand in this picture seems to drop to the bottom of the blue hole, and that makes the visibility somewhat better. But as you go down, it gets a little cooler and a little dimmer, but not much.
Yeah. So in this one now, that's the line you were talking about. So when you take a dive towards PDS, you go follow that line and you go down as deep as they want, right?
Right. That's Trev. Sorry, that's Tony, the last guy to come out. I'm down at about 80 feet, cable tying the GoPro camera onto the line. So when we go past it, it can film us coming back up. And he's just taking his time coming down because the main thing with PTSD scuba diving, Dale, is if someone hurts their ears, it's game over. We wasted all that money. We can't take them diving anymore. So I'm absolutely religious about making them clear their ears gently on the way down. We cannot afford to mess up. They have to gently. And that's what Tony's doing here. He's going to meet me at 80 feet by slowly clearing his ears on the way down.
Cool. Yeah. And that's a nice view from about how far down?
Probably about 100 feet or so. There's another picture from 200 feet, I think you have. But that's the sand waterfall coming down the sand and going down to the bottom you see in the picture. Yeah. That is just sand pouring over the edge, going down to make the blue hole shallower by about a foot every year. Okay. And it doesn't wash back out? A little bit, I think, but people saying we lose about a foot every year. Okay. And so this would have been, I guess, in the blue hole, or this would have been elsewhere? That's on the ledge. We call it the shelf, mesmerizing, or the ledge, where the meditative ledge, where you can go at 60 feet, really safe, not too deep, but deep enough that the people on the Johns Hopkins study said that was the average depth. and I put the guys on there for 5 or 10 minutes. I hide behind them so they don't even see me in the picture, and they can look down, look up, look across, and really think happy thoughts, because I'll tell you in a second that the thing they need to do is to try and create as much serotonin, which is the feel-good chemical that mixes with the nitrogen to make them PTSD free.
Right. And is there anything that they see down there?
Yeah, there's a dozen massive tarpon swimming around, checking you out because they're very inquisitive fish. A couple of barracudas, and all the usual suspects of the tropical fish, a little bit of coral. But the beauty, Dale, is the geology. It's like a massive bell. So you go underneath the overhang and you can see the blue hole above you, as you showed in the previous photograph, and the beauty of it, and warm, clear water, very much a mother's womb type of feeling for these guys. And that is part of it. They feel super safe, super warm, super, fuzzy. And that tends, as you see here in this photograph, that's after a deep dive. And, I said, how did you enjoy it? Well, you can see how much you enjoyed it.
Yep. Yeah. That's my favorite photo of all of the photos.
That's Mark.
We didn't include all the photos, but this is my favorite.
That's Mark. And all I had to do, Dale, and people say, well done, Kevin, this, well done, Kevin, that. That's not the case. It's well done, Mark. He had the confidence to dive deep. He had the common sense as I tried to educate him to think happy thoughts. And it looks to me like he's cleared a bit of brain fog. And that's what they're doing. All I do is keep them safe underwater. I don't, wave any magic wands. My job is don't let them hurt themselves. Leave it all to them.
Right. Good. Madam Producer. And people will say there's no women, but there are women. Yeah.
No, this is very much the lady who came in April this year. Serious sexual assault, serious domestic violence. Her numbers, because we asked the last 3, D, E, and F, to do an independent survey to a doctor in England, and he scored her off the chart for PTSD, anxiety, sleep issues, and personal health. Wow. Off the chart, Dale. She left here after 10, 12 days, soaring like an eagle. Her numbers now are through the floor. And she, I look up diver DM. That's diver DVM, diver DVM. And that's April. And she did some videos and they show her progress. And the difference is like night and day. As
so
you see here, I found this dead sea urchin, and that's the first one I've ever found in the blue hole. And she's taking it home, and it's sat on her bathroom side, and reminds her every day. Yeah.
So is it like when you take a pill and it lasts for a certain time, and then you come back and dive again, or is it you're finding that it lasts a long time? It's not like a short needed stuff.
Well, I can only take the diver's word for it, but Jim, who's coming out here at the end of October with a buddy of his to try and help his buddy, he came here 2.5 years ago, and his PTSD is still gone. Trev, the guy you saw in the picture, he's been away 2 years. He said he's PTSD free. Mark has been away 19 months now. He says he's PTSD free. And April, you see in this photograph, Steve in August and Tony in February, their numbers are still low. And the graphs that show their numbers are saying that month on month, they don't have any symptoms. But they have the odd little blip of a couple of points because it was Steve's anniversary of his son's death or whatever. But normal non-sufferers have those issues.
Right. Okay. And so this is the one, I think, at 200 feet.
Yeah, I went down the line to 200 feet because obviously, as you can understand, I can't take someone to 130 feet and me be whacked out of my brain. And narcosis is a serious thing. So, but it's cumulative, and you can beat it back by doing lots of it. So I go down to 170, 180, 190, 200 now and again on the line, just to keep my hand in, so that when I take a person to 130 feet, it doesn't feel like 130 feet to me.
For you,
it just feels like a 30, 40-foot dive. And they can be as whacked out of their brain as they like on nitrogen. Narcosis is the term, like drinking 2 martinis on an empty stomach. But I'm not, because I do a lot of it.
Right. Wow, that's pretty. And we know this fellow here.
Yeah,
You know him?
Yeah, that's me as a young man, 18 months old, I think, or a year old. I've had my challenges as well. I was born with meningitis. It damaged my left eye seriously. My legs started bending inwards, rickets or whatever term you call it. So they broke both my legs, put them in plaster casts for years, 3 or 4 years, changing the cast every few months. And the bottom line is, if I can thrive as I try to do now, anybody with a challenge can do so. And as I said to you on an email or message earlier today, your watchwords have to be lead me, follow me, or get out of my way. Because I'll follow anyone. But if someone wants to follow me, that's okay. But if you want to put obstacles in my path, I'm going to steamroller right over you, because I have dreams and I have wants, and I'm going to achieve that if I can. And any young person out there, they can do whatever they want, providing they can build up the drive.
Right. And get the proper mentorship that guide them in the right direction.
Mentorship, education, help, bookwork, whatever. If someone might be the best gamer in the world, then get into the gaming industry and blow their doors off and show them how good you are. Right.
So Trevor Sands, only because I know that TR Sands says awesome stuff, changing the world one person at a time. You know, Trevor. Yeah.
I would add to that, if Trevor doesn't mind, I try and say one dive at a time. Because
one dive at a time.
A person comes here, they do a dozen dives or so, and I've got to be a little careful that I don't try and get too much ahead of myself. I've got to try and ease them into this deep stuff, and it's some very deep stuff. Thankfully, we're 6 for 6, batting 1,000, whatever that is, and I'll keep doing it certainly as long as I can. And if I can hand it over to a younger person one day with a massive track record, that would make me very happy.
Great. So before we go to the break, Kev, there's the question that was asked on my phone, and I don't know why they didn't post it on the thing, but anyhow, it's basically saying that what causes the brain fog to clear when they go deep? What is the actual process?
I'm a bit of a knuckle dragging guy, if you like. I'm not a clinical man, a medical man, a clever individual with a massive academic background, but I have lots of friends who do, and I've quizzed them, I've asked them, and I've interrogated them, and I've said, what do you think is going on? And they, to a man, have said, when you breathe on the surface, you're breathing in a lung full of air. When you go to 130 feet, per breath, you're breathing in 5 times as much air, but it's only a lungful. But it's thicker, it's denser, and there's nearly a room full of air in that breath.
So you get more oxygen.
And all that oxygen, I'm informed, is probably mixing with the feel-good serotonin that I'm encouraging the divers to create by thinking of their loved ones, thinking how lucky they are that I paid for them through the charity to come here, and the beautiful woman's womb type feeling of the blue hole. They feel brilliant, they feel fantastic. So they're producing serotonin. I'm informed that serotonin is probably, the jury's out, forming a caustic cocktail that is melting or scrubbing the sensors in the brain free of the bad cortisol, sticky gummy stuff that's stuck to the sensors that make you feel good. So now you no longer feel bad when you put the whiskey glass down, stub out the cigar, or go in after seeing a nice view. You think, wow, that was a lovely view. I feel quite good about that. That's where we're trying to get by getting rid of the cortisol with this mixture of serotonin and masses of nitrogen.
Right. That's awesome stuff. And then one other question I have is, we talked about it earlier about the university and grants or some studies. Is that something that is needed? For the program or not?
Let's talk brass tacks here, Dale. The bottom line is 6 people have come here with serious PTSD, a couple of them suicidal, and 6 people have left here and they claim they are PTSD free.
Right.
So there's something going on in the blue hole.
Right.
So if someone decides they want to extrapolate this to a study, or they want to help the world, if you like, by proving that this works, all we have to do probably is take blood before the dive, analyze it for cortisol, take blood after the dive, analyze it for cortisol or something of that nature, and see what's going on. But presently, all we've got is some, dive guy taking people diving and hoping they'll go home PTSD free, and that's not the way ahead, Dale. But it's all I can do at the moment, and I'm not able to do more than be the end user for these guys to use.
Well, you're doing plenty right now, Kev. So your little bit might not seem to be a lot, but right now for those 6 guys who come and gone and the ones to come, even if they don't last forever,
Dale, that's 6 families who got their husband or their mother back.
Right.
That's sometimes something we miss. These are families that are having to deal with a grumpy dad or a mother who doesn't get out of bed because she feels ill and bad and all the time. And once these people go back to the world and are bouncing off the walls and taking the kid to the zoo, or now able to, have a conversation with their wife without snapping, that's massive.
Right. Well, I think that's where you're getting all your energy from, because you always have plenty of energy, right?
Absolutely. I say my cup is not half full. My cup is refillable.
Right. Yes. Very good. All right, Madam Producer, let's go to the break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Master Scuba Diver Kevin James, who have a charity association where he's dealing with the PTSD clients who come to the Bahamas, dive in his spa, Dean's Blue Hole. Under his guidance, they go down deep, 50, 60, 70, 80 feet, depending on what it is, and clear the brain fog. That's been the narrative so far, and we hope that continues and move forward. So, Madam Producer.
Sammy's Chicken. There's nothing like it.
ID Star, God of 242 Elite. And I just want to tell y'all all about a great experience crossing Orlando this past month. We had some fundraisers. We want to thank everyone for reaching out to us. We want to send a special thank you to our Coach D and Knowles. He really did well taking care of us and looking after us for the past month. Everything that we did, it was awesome. We had really great experience. We played plenty games, man. Like, we really played a lot of games. We had some scrimmages in there. Felt like I was in school. We wake up every morning for mobility. Right after that, we probably go do some ball handling. If not, we have game right after. He's putting in about 2-3 games a day. I'm telling you, we play him about 3 to 4 times a week. It was a really great experience. It was well worth it. And I really hope that we continue the ball. I just want to ask anyone that's out there in Freeport or probably just in the Bahamas, still in school, trying to play ball, build on your skill. D1 Development is a really great program. Y'all should try and get out at it. But 242 Elite is a really great traveling program.
Welcome back to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knows. We're here with Kevin James, the master scuba diver who has his program down there in Long Island where he lives. And he's helping persons through a charity out of the UK, which has a charity to deal with persons with post-traumatic stress disorder and brain fog in particular that they get, and so forth. And so going diving in the blue hole, the blue hole down 30, 50, 60, 70 feet, thereabouts, they're finding much success in clearing that brain fog that they get, which is an awful, awful, awful feeling, apparently. And so, Kev, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Right. So when we look at this now, 72% of the water we talked about in the Bahamas, 72% of the Bahamas is water. It's only 28% of it is land mass and stuff. And so they also say that we have we make diving for 400,000 people. That's a lot of water mass. And
That's
so
right.
we won't be competing with one another for space. You know, they always say when two companies or two businesses get in the space in the land, then you know everybody's fighting. That's a lot of water space to do diving of many different sorts, whether it's for the program that you're doing for healing people, or it could be for other means in that industry, right? And you have recreational and commercial. So the charity that you would have spoken of through London, how did that come about? How did you get to connect with them, and like what kind of costs and the likes that we think?
Well, it's if you want to look at it from many points of view, it's my charity per se, because I hosted Diver A, Jim, and his wife Maggie, who was the one beating him with a stick to come here. And they came here, and Jim is the one who, after the third day, he said he had an episode where he no longer felt anger. He no longer felt that he had the symptoms that were making him angry. And because his life changed so much, and his wife said, when they left here, "Thank you for giving me my husband back," I thought, I need to do more here than just offer my services. So I spoke to Jim and Maggie and said, would you be willing to just be the people in the UK that find the sufferers, find the candidates, buy the tickets, because they're slightly cheaper in UK than they are here. So they can come over from UK. I can arrange the accommodation at Orange Hill overnight, and then various accommodation choices here. And we can get the person in, create an evolution, if you like, or a module for one person, and they go back to UK. The total cost for a UK veteran is about $1,500 to $2,000, depending on whether I have to put them up high season or whatever. Now, we have a bunch of very generous people in this country. Under the Sun in Long Island have agreed to give me a free week of accommodation. The people at Harbour Breeze give me massive discount on the rooms. There's a cottage on the beach here that he gives me huge discounts. So once people realize that there's no condoms and party balloons on the reconciliation, they'll help you as much as they can, because there's such good people out there. But you just have to let them know the successes and the facts that you're doing well. So Jim and Maggie organizing the paperwork in England, we identify a sufferer and then bring them out.
Cool. And so when we look at that, and we talked about that whole experience, so besides in the blue hole, is there activities for them outside the blue hole, or just the main thing is in the blue hole?
What has to be sort of front and center here is, I've got a person who's just arrived who's whacked out of their brain. They are angry, they're annoyed, they can't get any peace, they're not getting any sleep. So this is a person on the edge. So if I can, I've got a late-ish start, make them have a nice breakfast, either on their own or I'll join them. We then slip to the blue hole, we do the dive, then I take them back to their cottage or their room and they have a shower and contemplate. They maybe take a coffee to the beach and sit, and their mind then is able to focus on the hibiscus flower or the beautiful water that you mentioned, and the serenity and the peacefulness that we have in this country in abundance is all part of the program. I cannot allow them, if you like, or encourage them, which is more to the point, to do the party this, the party that, the busy this, the busy that, because it's counterproductive. I've got to try and decompress them, pun intended, to a level of, wow, this country's kind of cool, and I kind of feel good.
Right.
And that's how we do the meditative type of, you've done your dive, now go and cleanse your brain the best you can.
Right. Okay, so we got a couple of videos we want to show the persons to get a feel for maybe what it is when you actually go in the blue hole. So Madam Producer, you want to put them up? You want to walk us through this?
You want me to commentate?
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is once again, the photograph earlier was taken off this video. This is Tony working hard to come down the line as gently as he can, because there's no rush. You know, we have 15, 20 minutes at depth where we're going to end up at 100 feet or 120 feet or something. So we can stay down there quite a distance. And this is looking up, you see the water, the sand waterfall over on the left, and the beautiful blue sky. This is what we try and encourage, or I try and encourage the divers. Look at the geology, enjoy where you are. In a week or 10 days, you'll be back in the real world. Forget the real world, enjoy this one. This is where you're at now. Be in the moment. Try and create as much serotonin as you can, and that hopefully will cleanse the brain. You see the ledge there at 60 feet? That's where we sort of spend a large amount of time. There's the line, the safety line. And you see the circle of the blue hole and the sun. And this is the beauty of, you know, you stare up at that, and as you see here, and you marvel at the creation of it all.
Yes, yes. So the sound. Oh, we got to start that one over.
As I said, Dale, the serenity of those sounds is very calming for the diver. That's all you hear. No one's nagging, no one's having a conversation. All you hear is the bubbles passing your ears.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you on the first one, what was the sound? Because that didn't sound like it was coming from the tanks, but
no, it's
like a rumbling.
You breathe out, and the bubbles are caught by the microphone, and they're like if you undo a bottle of soda quick, you have that bubbly sound. Right.
Awesome. Madam Producer, you got one more? Okay, frozen. Okay, so let's just continue then. So, yeah, where do we go from here, Kev? We always talk about the Bahamas being blessed, and we have all of these different things. We're mastering something what I call disassociated, well, not me, but I mean, this is a technical name, disassociated identity disorder in the Bahamas, and meaning that we have plenty of identities. And so we have all these islands and all these territories of water that have its own personality. And so that's why I say it's a blessing, and it's not really like most people associate this disassociated identity as a negative. But I look at it as a blessing because it provides diversity and variety. So how do we maximize that? How do we maximize benefiting from that?
The thing that we don't seem to do very well if you look at a European or a South American or a Far East beach, you cannot count the amount of people on the beach. They're there by the hundreds. I walk 300 yards from my house to the beach here, and I have never in 9 years seen another person on that beach.
No.
So I have a beach to myself, and there are hundreds of beaches on Long Island. So you have hundreds and hundreds of beaches that we can enjoy that we don't seem to maximize the way they perhaps should be. Now, I don't know how to do that. Obviously, Long Island is hamstrung in some respects because you often have to do an overnight in Nassau, and that's an extra few $100s. Then you've got an extra flight to Long Island, another few $100s. So people choose to do the one-stop shop in Atlantis and Bahamas over having a beach to themselves all day. And that's the beauty of the country. We've got the clearest water in the world by none. And I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody who thinks their water is clearer than ours. But if we're not careful, decades will have gone by and we haven't maximized on the beach to yourself and the clearest water on the planet.
Wow. Yeah, because when we were Long Island the other day, we drove north. Up south.
Yeah. Down north, it gets more
up
civilized.
south.
You want to use that word than if you come down south or up south.
Okay, up south. Yeah. All right, fair enough. So anyway, it was a long drive, and along the way there was a lot of roads leading towards what our tour guide was saying was beaches, which you could have had all to yourself, right? And so forth. So, in addition to that, could the diving health be a real industry for the Bahamas? Not necessarily diving in the blue hole, but just diving for health.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, it could. But the question you ask, I think, should come back one small step backwards and say, maybe the diving, which is A, expensive, and B, you have to be certified to do, etc., etc. How about we talk about snorkeling? How about we talk about swimming? How about we talk about immersing yourself up to your neck with a half pint of drink in your hand, enjoying the sun, and not worrying too much about anything other than, wow, this feels great. We certainly need to be snorkeling more, swimming more, beaching more, burying dad up to his neck in the sand. I mean, there's so many things we could do. And diving, if you want to be certified and you want to get with the program, as it were, is absolutely possible in every single island we have. One of the minor distractions is making a living diving is difficult because you have to take volume. If I want to run a dive operation down here, I'm going to need 8 to 12 people every day, twice a day. Otherwise, the boat kills me, the bottom line kills me, etc., etc. And then when you're going with 8 to 12 people a day, 2 times a day, you're starting to lose a little bit of the beauty, the one-on-one that we spoke about. So it's a bit like a dog chasing its tail. So that's why I come back to the snorkeling, the swimming, the beach walking, the cave tour on Long Island, which is wonderful. There's so many things that we can do that the oldest person on the planet can enjoy a snorkel.
Yeah, and there's always food and culture, right? That they always go hand in hand.
Great restaurants,
everything else.
Great bars, friendly people. Every island has its diversity, but not one of them has any unfriendly people on it. Friendliness is our main, benefit.
Right. All right. So we're gonna make an attempt to play this last video again, and then we will wrap it up. Yeah. Videoing him from a different angle. Yes.
Doing a selfie here. This is like a little gully that we swam down through to 60 feet. And the beauty of this reef is off the chart. It's beautiful. All the usual suspects are there. Lobsters, barracudas, tangs, all sorts of fish. And it's just incredible. And and there you see Tony trying to, enjoy the beauty of the crystal clear water.
Right.
You could open a bottle of gin and it wouldn't be as clear as the water we have.
Yeah. Well, I guess some people will argue with that, but I take your word for it. I especially haven't been down to that depth.
You may be talking about Nassau, Dale, and yes, the water in Nassau isn't that great, but that's because it's a metropolis. You could come here and dive the blue hole at low tide, and you can see across it, and it's 200 feet across.
Wow. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
we were.
clear.
Yeah, we were there. It wasn't low tide, but it was close to the low tide, and it was really crystal clear. And your videos are good videos. I know some of the guys use very high high resolution cameras and stuff like that, and you didn't have all the lighting and all that kind of stuff with your cameras, but it's a pretty sight to people. And if you could get to go there to visit, to see it, and if you go at this time of year, you will see a lot of butterflies that you don't see in Nassau no more.
Yeah.
Or the big cities and the like. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
So Kev, we've come to that time when we almost wrap up. So what would you like to share with people before we go?
I think the main thing to share with people is you don't have to take a person to 130 feet to help them with their PTSD. You don't have to fly them all the way here. You can help them by just sitting and listening to them. Listen to your neighbor. Listen to their challenges. Don't tell them A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
If you're having a conversation with someone, let them do the talking. Let them tell you how they feel. Be there for them. And there's nothing worse than someone who isn't feeling well to be told, your feelings are irrational. Suck it up. Surely you can this, that, or the other. Don't judge people based on their anger or their behavior. It's not their fault. It's who they are. And if someone isn't firing on all cylinders, find a way to put some fuel in the tank and help them out. You don't have to talk. You just have to listen.
Right. That's key. Yeah. Okay, Abou, it's been really good. I'm glad that you took the time and sacrifice to come on the show and to share what you're doing with everybody, because I think a lot of people will benefit from this. Get a better understanding of what actually happens with persons with PTSD, and what might be some of the things that they would like to have happen with them in order to help them along in their journey of recovery and so forth. So we'd like to thank you kindly for that and so forth. And we will surely be back in Long Island soon, Strong Island, as my cousin says, and so forth. Say hello to the good madam for me, Audrey, and make sure that I don't know what condition you can find them in if all the food is gone before you reach. But anyway.
Yeah, well, she could probably make it home. There's a fence. She can hold on to the fence all the way down.
Yeah. All righty. So, guys out there in social media, thank you kindly for joining us on Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles this evening. We hope this show has been of value to you, and you've learned a lot from Kevin James, master scuba diver here extraordinaire, diving in his spa, the Dean's Blue Hole, helping people. If you have, share with all your friends. Don't forget to like the page, folks. Like the page, like the video, like everything you see with Something to Think About on it, whether it's on Facebook or it's on YouTube. Just sit like, figure out what you like later, right? Don't worry about anything else. Just get it right and so forth. Be safe. By all means, be safe, right? We always say vaccinate or isolate. And that's the safest things I could tell people to do or suggest that people do and so forth. Dean's Blue Hole is a safe place to go to isolate. Just sitting on the side was plenty. So we love to see that. I know also. So for all of the persons, Kev, you have help out there. If you're listening in or want to get help from Kev, you be safe also. Hit Kev up. and so forth. And like, Kev, you didn't say how they could find you. Did you say that?
Yeah, there's a PTSD Facebook page. It's called PTSD Progress Through Scuba Diving, and I've added after it diving page. Because Maggie runs the same name, but for the charity in the UK. So she runs PTSD Progress Through Scuba Diving, but mine has the words diving page.
After it.
And I'm not difficult to find in that respect.
Awesome. All right. So, like I say, it's been good. I'm coming down there for some more mutton soon and and then we'll go from there to the next steps. So, Madam Producer, thank you kindly. Yes, and Madam Producer, you want to take us away?